and that includes so many things for so many years, which is why I'm bringing on my longest returning guest on any podcast I've ever done. There's a lot of context there. Mike Marrah, say what's up, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
Mike and I have been working together for, we met in 2014.
Yes.
And we started doing podcasts together in 2015. And we were just talking about that, which is an insane thing to me because it's 2025. So that's 10 full years of doing media podcasts together.
Is this going to be the first one that's actually published, though?
No, see, like, they're all published.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We do a lot of podcast episodes, and sometimes we just sit and record because Mike and I talk a lot. Like, we talk, and every time we talk, we could easily burn an hour, 2, 3. Sometimes we're just on a drive back from, like, Cincinnati to Columbus, and we'll just, like, nonstop, and there's never a break. And then we stand in the parking lot next to our cars for another 2 hours after that.
That's never happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we like talk a lot about like media talk. We do a lot of like deep conversation stuff. So this is what we do, and it's quite fun. And we try to record episodes of podcasts, and they don't always hit the air. But this one definitely is because this is the official Messy Media podcast.
Yeah.
Also, I brought a bag of berries and cherries down. I've been eating the hell out of these lately. It's been so good. I'm trying to snack less.
Well, I was going to say, is that your replacement for all the fruit snacks?
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm trying so hard. So anyway, help yourself. I kind of forgot they were there until just now. So
All right.
But like I said, Mike and I have been doing media podcasts together for a long time. You know, not all of them made it public on YouTube, but this one is. So
Yeah,
thanks
our
for tuning
first one
in,
was
guys.
like 2.5 or 3 hours, so that probably makes sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were just rambling the whole time.
We really did.
So
We also didn't know what the heck we were talking about.
no, not at all. We were just rambling. Well, because we rambled like that all the time.
Yeah.
And we worked together, like, at the time we were working at the same place.
Yeah.
And so it was like, we would just go back in the production studio in the back room. We were just talking about that too. Like, miss that place. Good old fashioned. It was one of my first, like, this is my production studio where, like, I can work on the projects I want to work on. And it was a lot of fun.
The lockers that were in there, where did you get those?
I think eBay or Craigslist or something like
Really?
that. Yeah. Do you know what's funny? I abandoned them at the last studio in Upper Arlington.
No.
Because I just didn't have a way to transport them because I was driving a Chevy Cobalt
That's
at the
a
time.
bummer.
Yeah, and when I moved out of there,
Yeah.
the facility manager was like, "Do you want to get these out?" And I was like, "I can't. I don't know.
Aw.
I didn't know what to do with those."
Sad.
Yeah. Well, and I like the place I was moving to, the house I moved into at the time, I didn't have space for them, so.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'd have space here, but that's
I'm not
a
even
maybe.
sure that your ceiling in your last office was tall enough.
Yeah, it was tight. It was a lot.
It
I
might
mean, it
have
was
been.
tighter than this too. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, good old days. We were just reminiscing.
Ignore
So,
us.
Mike, yeah, we're gonna do this a lot. We're gonna detour a lot. It's like a classic case of putting a couple of ADHDers in a room together, but with microphones and a camera. And somehow we managed to make this happen. But
Yeah,
we're gonna
this
derail.
is my distraction toy, so this will help.
Yes, I 3D print like fidget toys, and I leave them here on the table, so that way Mike has something to do. I also
Yeah.
printed this, Mike. You should see.
Ooh.
Right? How cool is that? So much fun. Like it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
That's nice.
That's how I keep Mike occupied while we do podcasts.
Pretty much.
So Mike is a freelance director of photography, just all around doing the visual media side of things. So videographer, cinematographer, if you will. And we started working together a long time ago. And I think, Mike, I want to hear a little bit about your origin story.
Well,
and get
you
into
taught me
this.
how to use a camera.
Kind of, lightly.
No.
Lightly.
You taught me how to use a camera.
What happened was, we've talked about this on episodes in the past, but for this sake, Mike was the pastor at a church that we both went to, and I was doing like the media direction side of things there. Very volunteer job for sure, as most church media director situations
I'm pretty sure
are.
you worked as much as I did, though.
Yeah, but I was busting 60 hours a week in that place, no problem. There was times where I would just be there and I'd be like working on a project till like 3 a.m. because we had service at like 9, and I had to make sure that like there was like the sound was on or like the anyway. And Mike, being the very young-hearted, more progressive of the pastors there, because his competition was not hard to beat, was like, hey, we should be doing social media stuff, video influencing stuff. We should be doing, like, just video announcements before service begins. How can we do that? And I go, step one, get a camera. And we took our very limited church budget and bought exactly what that budget would buy, camera-wise, which was a Canon T5i.
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, Canon T5i with a kit lens.
Yeah.
I wired a couple 4-foot fluorescent lights to some old carts we had that would act as like lighting carts, so we could push them around and they would also like we could hang cables.
Yeah,
on
but
them,
okay,
like
how did you actually make those? Remember?
Yes, I had these 4-foot fluorescent tubes,
Like ceiling lights.
like ceiling lights, that I got from work. I was an electrician for a long time, and I'm retired. And then I zip tied them up to the top of this cart, and then I used vacuum cleaner cords.
Yeah, you did.
I love vacuum cleaner cords. Somebody turned me onto that one time. I'll never not do that. When I see a vacuum, this is no joke. If I see a vacuum in the trash on the side of the road, I pull over, I get out, I cut the cord off because the cords on vacuums are so good. And then I wire them up to other stuff later. Mostly lights. That's pretty much what I do. Anyway, so we started
those
doing
didn't
that.
have an on-off switch. It would just plug them in.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yep. And that's
Yeah.
all you needed. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we did that, and it was like we were winging it, and then Mike got into that. And when I tell you, this dude got obsessed with video, with cameras, dove so deep into it, surpassed any knowledge I had from my formal education in media, completely blew that out of the water in a day, and then was like, oh yeah, I think I'm just going to leave my job as a pastor and my job in teaching, and like his whole career that he went to get his formal education in.
Yeah, my degree is in education.
Abandoned that entirely, and then just went into full-time videography.
Yeah,
since
well,
then.
it started. I mean, you were talking about how we had to kind of update things at the place that we were at. I started with a website. So the website looked like it was from '98.
Oh, it was bad.
I'm not even sure how it still worked. I'm not sure that any security existed whatsoever.
No.
So I taught myself how to build a website. Did that, and then when you have a website, you have to figure out how to have photos for the website, and have some type of graphic design for the website.
Makes sense.
So I taught myself how to do those things, and then realized pretty quickly that I had a creative potential limit as far as web design and graphic design went.
Right.
It was I can do this enough to be kind of dangerous, but I don't have the talent to do this long term. And then I picked up a camera and just never put it back down.
Immediately, you were latched to it, man. Latched to it. So much so, the camera we're shooting on right now is a camera I bought off Mike last year. I have not bought a new camera or a new piece of tech in so long because Mike buys so much gear and then just flips it all the time. You just buy gear,
I think
it over.
Last year I bought and sold probably around 15 cameras.
That's insane, dude. That's insane. You buy and sell like 15 cameras a year.
Yeah, I forget. That's buying and selling. So maybe I owned like
It's
8
still,
to
it's
10.
regardless. It's a lot. I'm going to adjust my level. I'm realizing my volume was a little husher than I want it to be. Okay. Sometimes we have to do technical side of things because there's no technical producer behind these lights in this camera.
Well, it's
doing
also
the
just
thing.
the audio engineer in you.
I know.
Can't
And
handle it.
that's what it was. I could hear the mix, and I was like, okay, we want to bump that up a little bit. I hope that's better for you guys. No, so, yeah, you buy gear. Now, what is the purpose for you? Like, what do you find benefit in from cycling through so much gear in the career that you're in?
So part of my strategic advantage, I guess, or how would you say that? Competitive advantage, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that I do things as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Very much so.
So that means that I have to have the fastest, newest, lightest thing possible to kind of fit that bill.
Yeah.
But it also means that what used to take an entire van of equipment 4 or 5 years ago, I can now do out of a backpack.
Yeah, like not just like from a camera perspective, from a full production perspective. Audio, lighting, visual standpoint, like you got it all locked down in a backpack.
Yep, I can pretty much get a
impressive.
call, and this has pretty much happened. I can pretty much get a call today and say, hey, at the end of the week, can you fly to California? And you have to bring enough to do an entire interview set, everything.
Yeah.
And I don't really check bags as much as possible.
Yeah, well, it's expensive stuff.
So
you want to keep your hands on that gear for sure.
Yeah. So I think, for that trip I had, I think 2 cameras, 3 to 4 lenses, all of my batteries, an entire audio kit, boom poles, stands, 200 watt light, 300 watt light, a couple of other lights, a Ronin, a monopod, and all of my clothes and everything for the week that I would need, and a backpack and a carry-on.
So like 2 black t-shirts and a pair of black jeans.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, gotcha, cool.
Yeah.
Which is exactly, now Mike made this joke when he pulled up here. Technically speaking, we're wearing the same thing. We're both wearing black t-shirts and black jeans right now.
Yeah.
And black shoes. But Mike's just decided to keep his sweater on for this one. Because now we don't look like we're the same person sitting across from each other. I don't think it helped that when I got glasses. I don't think that helped much.
No, and you have little like things right here that kind of look like.
Yeah, you're wearing the Ray-Ban Meta glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've heard.
But like you have
many
like
good
little.
things
Yeah, I love these things. They're great.
Are you just full on BTS content just all the time?
I'd use it for BTS some.
Yeah.
I mostly use it just to like film playing with my nieces and nephews. But really what I use it for most is just taking phone calls, because the speakers and microphones in them are actually really good.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I just like, I think I probably have like 6 pairs of wireless earbuds.
Yeah, never use them though.
And I don't use them much anymore.
I don't know, man. I like a good like pair. Like these are my heyday earbuds. They're like $15 at Target. Just use these. These are my daily drivers.
Right now. I still have them all over the place.
Yeah.
But like I used to just carry in my pocket always. And now it's like, well, if I want to listen to something with,
And you got your prescription in those?
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing.
Nice.
For me, if I'm gonna do smart glasses, I want a little bit of AR, like in them.
Yeah, that's next gen.
That's next gen. That's why I've not bought any glasses like that. Is because you either get AR glasses or you get smart glasses, but you can't really have both. And the AR glasses look stupid, and you definitely can't daily drive them.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Now, Mike is the guy that I go to, and why? Like, I think one of the strongest advantages for your competitive advantage is always having at least knowledge on the newest upcoming gear. So, because you do a lot of research,
A little.
but that's part of what you do is that you buy up and coming gear, brand new gear. You buy it, use it for a while, and then flip it. So that way you get an experience using the newest gear. What is, from a technical standpoint, what is the newest gear?
At any given point in time, I usually have my kit planned out 6 to 18 months in advance.
Wild, bro. So much planning.
So like there's some lenses that I've been waiting on that are going to officially get released in a couple of months, and I've saw rumors of them like 6 months ago, so I've just been waiting for them.
You keep an eye on all the rumors before they ever come out.
Uh-huh.
That's insane, dude. That's so much work that goes into that. Like, I have so much respect for the amount of work that you put into like researching your equipment before you ever decide to buy it.
I mean, it helps to not have a real job.
Yeah, this is what you do, and so it's all business expenses for you. Like you're like, I mean,
I do a lot of research and testing. Like last year, I think over the span of maybe 4 months, I did about 400 hours just practicing color grading.
Yeah,
so
insane.
like not for official projects. Like we went on vacation. Like we were in Hawaii, and in Hawaii, I probably did 15 to 20 hours of practicing color grading.
Now you do a lot of travel too.
Yeah, decent amount.
Now that's why you keep your gear light and easy to travel with, is because you're traveling so much.
Yeah.
You're doing like national stuff, and you've done international stuff as well. But like, in the last like calendar year, what have been the projects that have taken you like the furthest? Like, where have you gone, and what are these connections stuff? Because I am curious about this, but also this is something I'm hoping that would be educational or inspirational for anybody listening too.
Yeah, a lot of my travel has been, which I guess I should start out with. Travel projects are cool, but they aren't necessarily as extravagant or like amazing as people would think. I mean, some of those trips, like I had a trip to Colorado a couple of years ago where I think we flew in the night before, got up super early, filmed a 12-hour day, and flew out that night.
Yeah, exhausting.
So like we were like in Denver, 2 or 3 hour time change, like filmed like 12 hours, and I was literally in Colorado for less than 24 hours.
Because you just showed up just to film and then leave.
Yep.
Now, these projects that call you in, why? Like, how do they get in touch with you? How do they like? There's plenty of videographers in Colorado. There's plenty of DPs in California, in wherever.
Yeah.
Why reach out to you? Why? What's the profit for this like these brands or these companies or these organizations to fly you out versus someone else?
Well, I would say in part competitive cost, which you have gotten on me a little bit for in the past.
A little bit.
So part of it is that in the last 3 years, I've planned my equipment so much and I've built a whole new workflow from scratch, maybe 4 years at this point, where I'm 2 to 3 times more efficient and can produce 2 to 3 times the content in about half the time as what I could have 4 years ago.
Insane.
So
And
I try to do the math
almost
at some
any
point.
other videographer is doing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, the workflow doesn't really exist anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
I have a couple of things in my kit that, as far as I know, I've never seen online anywhere ever. And a couple of the articles that I've wrote online, I got like flamed for pretty bad because people didn't think that what I should be doing is possible.
No, not at all. Like most practical people are like, what do you mean you're doing like commercial grade stuff like on a pocket Sony like camera? Like
Yeah, well,
or a
so
Blackmagic
one
or
of my
whatever.
last travel projects, I was a mini doc in North Carolina, where I mean it was the same thing. Like I'm doing a like full mini doc, I guess. I mean it was like a 3 to 5 minute edit, but that's really all the client wanted.
Right.
But it was like follow this family around for a day to kind of capture their story. For a kid who wanted to fly in a helicopter.
Yeah.
He'd grown up having surgery his entire life, and so we just wanted to capture his story. And so I needed to capture as much content as possible, all of the audio, all of the lighting I needed, whatever. And
Right.
it was backpack and carry on. But the real kicker in that situation was that once I went down, booked a hotel, got the hotel, but then the next day I was filming and it flew out the next day. So I was there for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I had to check out of the hotel, which means that I had to carry all of my equipment
All of
with
it.
me.
Oh my God.
And part of it was a 5K. So I'm literally like
Oh my God.
running with all of the equipment that I have to do the entire project.
Insane.
And I have no one else with me to do anything. So all of my equipment and all of my clothes had to go in a like basically a backpack, not even like a full carry-on, like a backpack size.
that you could wear and walk around with comfortably and
Yeah.
while you're filming things.
Uh-huh.
Miking up audio, setting up lighting,
Yeah.
running in a 5K.
And
the whole deal.
also like being able to like fit in a tiny helicopter
Yeah, yeah.
because I had to take it all with me pretty much.
You can't, yeah, there's nowhere to leave this stuff. There's nowhere to
Yeah, there
leave
was nowhere to
all-
leave any of it.
Wild.
I mean, I could have, but it would have been like, here, let me just throw this under a table, which I'm cool with, like in like secure events.
Yeah, but also you're
this
talking
is
about-
literally just like we're out in the middle of nowhere on a college campus. I don't have no idea who's in charge of really anything at this point.
Because what you do is that insane that you're able to put it all in a backpack, including your clothing, and carry it around and do your shoots.
Yeah.
Because you're so efficient with it.
Well, so that was the one. So I've now used, which I mean, I know there's whole conversations of like how do we need like real cameras and using like iPhones with the new Blackmagic app, all that kind of stuff. But I have a couple of projects now that I've like legitimately used iPhone footage and people can't tell.
Yeah.
So I think that really started with, again, you buying things from me, the iPhone 15 Pro
no
that
joke,
you have.
No joke. My iPhone 15 Max Pro, I bought from Mike because Mike bought this as a video camera.
Yeah.
He didn't buy it for a phone. He's an Android guy. He
Yeah.
didn't buy it for a phone. He bought it as a camera. Shot with it for a year.
Yeah.
Until the 16 dropped. And then right when the 16 dropped, I just bought the 15 Max Pro off Mike.
Yeah, because I bought the 16 Pro.
Because you bought the 16 Pro, like pre-ordered right away.
So that I ended up buying because I was doing another mini doc for the same organization in New York City.
Yeah.
And we had to do some content in Madison Square Garden. And just the way that it worked out with the client and with Madison Square Garden and all that kind of stuff, they didn't want to see a real camera anywhere in the environment.
Wow. So you had to bring
So
an iPhone.
I did all of the B-roll for the entire doc on an iPhone.
Now that wasn't like, you didn't bring lighting or audio or anything for that.
Yeah, I mean, we did another interview at a different time.
Okay,
And so the interview, like I used like my actual cameras, tripods, lights, audio. So I still brought everything again in a backpack and a carry-on.
But to walk around Madison Square Garden, do this docuseries thing.
All the B-roll is on an iPhone. And so the Blackmagic app with the iPhone sensor and the way that they use that, like if you go to Cine D and like check how, because they do all these tests for dynamic range and latitude and all this kind of stuff. The dynamic range in the iPhones is kind of tricky because it is really impressive, but also completely fake. So like they don't even really give you like actual results for it.
No, yeah.
Because the test shows it's about 12 stops at dynamic range, which is the same as like the mirrorless camera we're filming on right now. But they process it so much that it has basically no latitude in any direction. So latitude being like how much can you pull the highlights and the shadows.
Okay.
So like the camera that we're filming on right now, the Sony ZV E1, has about 7 or 8 stops of latitude. So you can push or pull the highlights
up or down that
about
far.
3 to 5 stops depending.
Same on the shadows. You can basically
it's about 4
you can
stops either way.
Maintain that detail from blowout.
Yeah.
It's up or down 7.
Yeah, so if you underexpose something, like if you underexpose the shot by 2 or 3 stops, you can pull up the shadows without them being crushed.
Yeah.
And you'll like have some noise there and stuff, but it's recoverable.
And that's recording like at the
there.
highest, like 422 10-bit type of.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it gets kind of tricky, but yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if they did it in the iPhone latitude test, but in my experience, the latitude is almost non-existent.
Okay, so you just know recoverability.
So you have to perfectly expose everything. So usually we're like, oh yeah, we'll like overexpose S-Log or overexpose log a little bit, or we'll underexpose.
You don't overexpose your log on your iPhone?
You can't.
Wild. Because there's no recoverability.
There's almost no. It's like they literally maximized the sensor, did as much HDR stitching and noise reduction and resharpening as possible to make the image look as good as possible. Which the engineers who did that, like hats off to you, because that's incredible, especially on a sensor so small.
This is a very technical heavy episode.
I mean, I'm trying to like.
No, right.
I'm still kind of cutting it back. I'm trying to not get that dirty.
I know you are. Yeah, I'm well aware.
But yeah, so I like when we did that project in New York, I think I had just bought the iPhone like for that project to do that specifically like 3 days before. So I haven't really had time to test it. So I did a bunch of testing before I left. And the day we got there a day early, and I just spent like 8 to 10 hours just testing how far I could push the iPhone and how much I couldn't push it. So I probably filmed for like 8 to 10 hours, got back to the hotel, edited and played with the color for another like 2 or 3 hours. So like I basically like did a bunch of like the whole day of shooting just to test it.
Yeah.
And realized that like I have to basically expose everything perfect,
Yeah.
which is really kind of difficult because I wasn't trying to do any auto settings.
Right.
But we're still walking in and out of buildings, and I don't have any like quick buttons like you do on the back of a camera.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I mean, it worked
Now,
and it was great.
Camera in cage with a handle grip. You're just raw dogging the camera.
Yeah,
Raw dogging the phone.
Yeah, I had a cage on it mostly just for like safety and security reasons, like if I drop it or bump it around or whatever.
So just a durable case. That's all.
Yeah, but when I like. I mean,
You're not mounting
we went through
to it or handles to it or anything.
No. Like, so we went into Madison Square Garden. We like went like through backstage security and all that kind of stuff because the family we were with.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked in, like they knew that like I was the videographer, and the first question they asked me was, "Do you have a real camera?" Because they wanted to make sure that I didn't have one.
Yeah.
And then I said I just have the phone. And after that, they basically let me do whatever I wanted. So
Wild.
like the guy that this child was meeting, like, has never done a meet and greet. He doesn't do behind the scenes. Like, this is the first one he's ever really done.
Okay. This is like a celebrity.
Yeah, it was a concert. He doesn't even allow phones, like, at his concert. Like,
Wow.
to take any level of pictures or videos. Like, you can, like, get kicked out for it.
If you want to name drop somebody famous on my podcast, you can. It's okay. I'll allow it.
I'll refrain this time.
Cool.
But, I mean, he sold out Madison Square Garden, so it gives you an idea.
Yeah.
But like his team walked in and they saw that like I was a photographer, videographer, and again like they looked at me like do you have a real camera? Because I mean they're expecting that someone is going to take pictures, like it's mom, dad, uncle,
Somebody,
whatever.
Yeah.
So everyone's just used to seeing phones, and because I had a phone
And not a
no
real
one
camera.
asked any questions.
And you did this for a like professional paid client.
Oh yeah.
Used iPhone footage for the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a client. Like again, I did that project with them in North Carolina. We did the one in Madison Square Garden. One of the meet and greets we did was with Steph Curry.
Insane.
They've
So many people.
there you go. I got one.
Thanks.
But yeah, and that's just the ones that I've done. So they've done these like all over the world.
And they're hiring videographers and stuff for this.
Yeah, I mean, really mostly just.
But they fly you out from Central Ohio. They'll fly you out to New York, North Carolina, wherever.
Yeah.
To go do these professional grade stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm on. I'm coming. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I had done enough of them that they trusted me that if I told them I could do it on a phone, like, they were like, all right, if you say that you can, you can.
You can.
But like,
Wild. Absolutely insane. Now, how did you get connected with an organization like this? Like, what was the in for you?
It was a referral from another client. So that's how a lot of my clients are just
right.
continuing relationship building.
Makes sense.
So I met that client through a magician that I also do work for. And then I met the magician through a church that I also work for.
Should I have him on my podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's brilliant. Hey, if you want to be on the podcast, buddy, we're going to get you on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, he travels more than I do. He does shows all over the world.
Yeah.
So good luck getting him in town. But
that's true. I mean, he lives here.
Yeah.
So
I guess
sometime he's got to be home.
Yeah. I mean, he's never not showed at a show.
Yeah.
Like he just celebrated having his 5-year anniversary of shows for the one that he does here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And he's never not sold out a single.
We're being so cryptic.
Shows.
Honestly, doesn't matter. If you'd like to check out Drew Murray's magic, you can absolutely do that. He's
Rare Magic is the name of his show.
Rare Magic is the name of the show. He absolutely selling these shows out. Phenomenal guy. So
yeah, I mean,
Drew, if you want to be on the podcast,
I've filmed like his like the same trick like half a dozen times, and then like in slow motion, and I'll play it back in slow motion, and I still can't figure it out.
Amazing. Anyway, so you get connected with these clients through referrals, and that's most of what your business is getting connected through referrals.
I have been blessed enough to have never done any level of personal marketing.
Yeah, see, I was talking about that too. I don't remember if it was last episode or the one before, but I was talking about the fact that like, I don't like for the first 10 years of me being a DJ, did not promote myself as a DJ at all. Yeah. Never made a video. No one had ever seen me DJ online. Nothing like that. Everybody that I did gigs for, like, was, oh, hey, I was at a wedding you did, my cousin's wedding, my friend's wedding, whatever. I was there, loved it, gotta have you. Can you come do my wedding?
Yep.
Same thing, referrals. So the power of networking is really.
Yeah, I mean, I've never made a demo reel.
No, that's insane to me because
like, I have a website of
people
content.
reach out to me for videography stuff that I don't want to do, and like, or that I'm not cut out to do.
Yeah,
and I go, can I promote you? And I literally, I think I like, hey Mike, just want to let you know I'm sending a client your way, and people are like, oh, okay, cool. Has he got a website? I'm like, well, he does.
I haven't updated it in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's not his best stuff.
I mean, it still is fine.
It's
still
fine.
works.
But I like send them to your Instagram, and even your Instagram is not promoting your own content very well.
I haven't actually posted professional content
No.
on Instagram, I think, in like 4 years.
No, not at all. All of your content that goes on your Instagram is like, we traveled. We were on vacation. Let's go. I'm like, that's great, Mike. It's just pictures from you and your wife on vacation, which I love to see as your friend.
Or my nieces and nephews.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I love to see that. Or your puppy.
Or a puppy.
Yeah. Mike got a puppy recently.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So, like, that type of stuff. But, like, you don't promote your professional work on there at all.
Not
you
really.
should really start doing that at some point.
I mean, occasionally behind the scenes stuff with the glasses.
Yes,
but...
you should start promoting yourself more often.
Okay, you tell me that, but then you also tell me I don't charge enough.
I absolutely do. Absolutely. Well, because what you're doing now, and I'm just going to break this down for everybody watching too, like to give you an idea. I know, and Mike knows because, we're talking about it, but Mike brings to a level of our production, and I mean this, like to a professional production, the equipment that what you would eyeball would be like, does this kid just borrow a couple things from his college classroom? Like that's what, like the level of equipment he's bringing is so small enough that it all fits in a backpack, tiny mirrorless cameras, iPhones, right? And then produces the quality and the quantity of content that you'd get from a 30-person crew. Like that you'd get from a large production set. I personally know full production crews that bring truckloads of gear and produce lower quality and less quantity-wise content than Mike does in an afternoon with an iPhone. That is not a joke. Or like with a mirrorless camera. Because you're shooting like 8K on these cameras. Sometimes, like, but you're shooting like stupid high quality on these pocket-sized mirrorless cameras, right? You're using like
North Carolina I had the iPhone mounted on top of the camera and I shot both the whole time.
Yeah.
And the iPhone ultra wide probably has like 11.5 stops dynamic range after they finagle everything. Mm-hmm. But because it's ultra wide, you can't tell depth.
No.
Because no real ultra wide camera usually has depth, especially for establishing shots. So I just ran them both like the whole time.
Insane.
And the other lens I had on there was a 35 to 150, so a lot of versatility, but not necessarily a wide. And so I like in the edit, I cut them back and forth between like the establishing wide and the tight shots
from the camera and the phone.
Yeah,
just cut those shots back and forth, and you can't tell the difference.
You can't tell.
See, that's like that type of thing. And then he's pulling stills from his video to offer the client. So not just only are you providing the video services that you're offering the client, but you're pulling such high quality stills that they beat out most photo cameras, like entry level photo cameras.
I mean, even like high
end, even mid tier or high end, some mid tier high end like photo cameras. So so like the client is able to post the video content that you pull, but then also, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then, but also have pictures from the shoots that they can post on their social medias and they can use for branding and marketing and everything.
Yeah. So I did a commercial shoot a couple of weeks ago for a barber shop.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was the same thing. Like I just went and did it like just me. But and this is a client that I've worked with a lot before, and so they know how my workflow goes.
Right.
So I did the whole video, but that night I had pulled stills for them as photos, and they were 26 megapixel stills, which is
it's higher than most.
2 times the resolution of that
Yeah,
camera.
I was gonna say it's higher than most photo.
Yeah,
cameras.
so it was 26 megapixel open gate 6K stills, so it's the same aspect ratio and everything that the photos would be. And I had, I think, 75 edited photos to them by the next morning, like 12
and you're
hours later.
pulling these stills like live. Like you're going to the back of the camera sometimes.
Yeah, so that one I do that for events. This one was more like a commercial shoot, so I just did it the next day. But the nice thing is that with how much time I've spent coloring and stuff, the nice thing with that is that all of my photos and videos perfectly color match.
Because you're shooting the video.
It is literally the exact same content. Yeah.
You're putting the LUT on and then color grading like the video.
Yeah.
And then pulling
in that
high resolution stills.
Yeah, they're 26 megapixels.
That are so perfectly because here's what's crazy about it. Most of the time, even if you're hiring a photographer and a videographer from the same team, you're going to get them to deliver you slightly different content because this photographer is going to have a different style than this videographer or whatever, right? So they're going to color grade them different. They're going to, edit them in a different way, whatever. But you're delivering not just video, not just photo, video and photo.
Yeah.
Of the same shoot at the same time that you're shooting from the same body and the same lens simultaneously.
You're not hiring a photographer.
And
I'm only doing one level of edits instead of 2. All of the content matches perfectly.
Which is how you're able to keep your prices so competitive.
I can deliver that content and return it more quickly than the editor for a photo shoot usually would.
That's insane.
Because the photographer's going through maybe like 2,000 pictures.
Yeah, they got to cull through everything.
But basically, while I'm shooting video, I'm like taking snapshots in my head so I can go back in the timeline and just pull the moment that I want.
So you just go to the clip you want. After you color grade it, you just find it in
But I mean, in that situation, it was 24 frames a second. So it was 6K in this case was 24 megapixels.
Yeah, so you're shooting 24 photos every single second of video that you shoot. Yeah. And then you're pulling any one of those.
And I don't have motion blur issues because I've done it for so long now that, and I practice it with it so much that as long as I can see a still fraction of a second, I know it's a sharp frame.
And so that doesn't work for everything. It doesn't work for high speed sports photography or anything like that. It's not like you could pull that type of high stuff at 24 frames a second.
Let's see, what's the fastest thing I've pulled? No, I've done some sports stuff. Yeah, I mean, it gets more tricky in that situation. But again, if you have, like I've done like concerts and stuff where I've done that, which is a lot of movement.
It is.
And especially like with people like clapping and stuff. But you have to think about like this is always a still moment and this is always a still moment. So like there's motion blur in between. But oftentimes for a clap, you want
catch that frame.
You want this moment anyway.
Right.
And there's almost always an option where you get like this moment.
A still moment from
and so it's plenty sharp and you can't tell.
Absolutely insane. Dude, this is what's so crazy about it. So that's how you're able to keep your prices competitive, is that you're studying the next technology months and months and months in advance, full year and a half in advance, keeping an eye on what tech is going to be coming. And then you're able to use the newest and best tech, but not always have. It's not like you're always just building and building and building. You're buying and then cycling through equipment.
So that shoot was on a Fuji X-H2S, which is where I got the 6K open gate.
Yeah.
But in the Sonys and all the modern mirrorless Sony bodies, you've been able to pull stills in camera for a long time. But you couldn't put LUTs in the camera, so everything you pull would just log, and that wouldn't really work.
Okay.
But now
you
can
can
put
bake
LUTs,
the LUTs
you can
right
bake the LUT
into
in, which I won't do for a commercial shoot. But if I have a long-time client, I can build a specific look for that client.
Okay.
And then just
Like
bake
one of
it
the
in.
clients we do it every like fall. You're doing like all year round with them, but
Yeah.
like I'm always on the shoot with you
Yeah.
in the fall.
Yeah.
You
So,
have
like,
LUTs
that-
you build for that branding. This is a haunted house in Columbus, and you build the LUTs that are just their style and just their vein, and then you bake that LUT onto the footage while you shoot it.
Yeah, if they want quick turnaround, I can. And it means that I can pull the still in camera and then deliver it to my phone.
Right away, so they have instant
Yeah, so
stills.
like clients like that, especially event capture, like before I leave the event, they can have like 150 edited photos.
Wild. That you pulled from the video.
Yeah, without touching a computer.
Insane. Pull it right from your phone with the LUT, which is the color grade that you agreed and talked to the client about.
Yep.
And you showed the client, because the client has some video experience.
Yeah.
So like he knows exactly what he wants
Yeah.
baked on it. So does that, and he's very particular about the way things look. Very particular.
I mean, he's good at his job.
He's very good at his job. Yeah, duh. He's particular because he's doing a good job. Anyway, so he knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly what the look is supposed to be. You build that LUT around his preferences for the look for that season, and it changes from season to season.
Yeah. Although
you bake it into the video and export the still straight to your phone, and so before you leave, after 20 minutes of sitting in the office, while like.
I mean, I can
packing
do
up
it like
gear.
literally in the middle of the haunted house.
Wild.
Like while I'm still on set, like in
You're
scenes.
you're filming video, and then when you're done with that clip and you're waiting on the next people to come through the haunted house, you review footage, find the still, export the still, and then transfer it to your phone.
Well, and now they have firmware updates where it can automatically transfer in the background.
What?
Yeah, so like while I'm shooting,
That is
while I'm
insane.
shooting after I pulled the still.
Can I do that?
I think so. I'll have to
Dude.
check.
Oh my god, that's insane. That is wild.
I mean, yeah, you can do all the rest of the pull still, but yeah, I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
I did know that because you
Yeah.
did that on this camera before I bought it from you. Yeah.
So
Wild.
I don't do that as much with them now because now I have a workflow with them where I know exactly how much content and what they want. So now I have a dedicated edit space like at that location.
Okay.
But basically what it means is that like I'll shoot the event by myself.
Right.
And while I'm shooting, I'll go dump my own footage and I'll already have songs pre-selected.
Right.
And so
You're doing
I
quick
might
turnaround
stay,
edits for their socials
yeah,
same day.
but like without an on-site editor, it's just me.
Wow.
So I might stay like an hour after the event is done, but by the time I leave, they'll have 3 to 5 15-second social cuts and 50 photos.
This is why Mike is the best at what he does, is because he's doing the turnaround and the quality and the quantity of content that no other, like a full team of people could not pull what you do in the same night. Like, and I just, for me, I'm seeing things like I like I said, friends with like very high end production company people, like commercial shoot grade here in our city, and I see them go do high end production like shoots with truckloads of gear, and they're pulling these big cinema cameras and they're setting up these massive like lighting sets, tripods,
Yeah, I
everything.
mean, don't get me wrong. If a client wants to pay for all that, I'll gladly take the help.
No, right. But the thing is for me is that I look at their content and immediately I go, it's kind of weak. It really is. like from a look standpoint, from a final product, I don't feel good about watching their final products. I'm never like, oh man, that was such a good video. Like there are marketing agencies out there that do content that like, I love their work in the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I love what they do. I love their like Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort. Like they put content out and like, man, I love it. I love watching their content. It feels good. It's fun. But that's Ryan Reynolds' company. But we're talking most of these like Midwest production companies.
Medium. It's medium-sized companies and like mostly like local to the region.
Yeah.
Or Midwest region.
Yeah, but like I'm
then,
watching their content
like,
going,
documentaries
I
and
hate the
nonprofits
final
and-
product. I hate it. I don't like their final product. And then you bring out these final products that you did single-handedly. We'll get that later. Single-handedly with one camera and an iPhone stuck to the top of it, that you got video from multiple like focal lengths from the same shot.
Yeah.
color graded, and you're shooting raw or shooting log
Yeah.
on the iPhone,
Yeah.
and then putting the same LUT on the iPhone.
Yeah.
So it's consistent in color, and then pulling stills from it and posting them right away.
Yeah. Well, and if I need to prioritize the still, and so therefore I have to crank the shutter speed to make sure it's sharp.
Yeah.
I've just figured out how to add motion blur in post pretty quickly.
Wild. Motion blur in post so the video looks good.
Yeah.
But it's shot so that the stills look sharp.
Yeah.
You're killing me, Mike. You're killing me. You're killing the industry, buddy. No, seriously. And what you're doing is like is making this go so well. No, I think that's absolutely incredible, and I really think it really is like you're right. No one's doing that out there. Like we know a lot of people in the industry. You're very in tune with what people are doing in the industry. No one else is doing what you're doing out there. And if they are, they're doing like multiple cameras all strapped onto each other to get this thing and that thing and then whatever.
Yeah.
And then see, you're just doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
and then you just touch the side of your glasses and get BTS content along with it.
Yeah, I mean, you have the photographers who like put like an Osmo Pocket or something
Sure.
on top of their camera to get some video footage.
Sure.
But it's not nearly as versatile.
No.
Like you're just running it as like a backup for whatever.
Right.
But I mean, I don't really do weddings anymore. But like, I mean, the stills are high enough quality that
You could have full wedding portraits that you could print out and hang in your house.
I mean, no, I've shot a wedding where we didn't have a photographer.
He's the videographer. He's the one capture person for the wedding. He's doing the official wedding video. Such high quality stills from that the wedding couple gets photos and then usually throw on like a BTS and then
Yeah, I mean, so I did a full video, but also I was the photographer. But I mean, in that situation, I shot most of those in 8K, so it's 32 megapixels. So if I had used,
that's insane, dude. That's insane.
So if I had used like an A7 III, I mean, it's a little older now, but it's 24 megapixels.
Right.
So my 8K was a higher resolution than
Wild.
an A7 III would have been as a normal photo camera.
That's insane. Yeah, but that's what keeps you competitive, and that's what keeps you working in the industry. That's why people fly you across the country, across the world, to come do what you do. By comparison to hiring somebody local, is because, this is like, I'm not a novice in the industry. Like I know things. This is why nobody does what Mike does. Nobody does it to the level that he does, which is such an impressive thing. So I think in the last 10 years, going from us meeting and you being the pastor at the church that I was volunteer doing the media work at,
Yeah.
to this is what you do full time, and you are flown internationally to go do what you do, like all the time for high end organizations, and you're rolling in solo with a backpack and an iPhone to make this work.
Yeah.
Is such an impressive thing. So bravo,
Nice.
kudos.
Well, I mean, you're an audio guy. I think I've shown you my audio setup that I've got now, right?
yeah. You got a shotgun mic, wireless.
Yeah. So I mean, like anybody who's seen a bunch of YouTube videos from video stuff in the last couple of years, like you've probably seen people who have used like
the little tiny Rode Goes or the DJI mics,
and then like
or
the Rode NTG, which is a 3.5 millimeter shotgun mic.
Yeah.
And you can like plug those in. But as far as I know, nobody's done it with full size XLRs because they require phantom power.
Yeah.
But I just hoped that a phantom power adapter existed. And so after a couple hours of looking, and I don't know, like page 10 on Amazon,
Yeah.
I found one that like
An
didn't
XLR
have a
powered phantom adapter.
yeah, that didn't have a brand name, 0 reviews. I don't know if anybody has already bought this thing before.
Taking the risks, buddy. Taking the
So
risks.
I got one of those, and it's USB-C powered.
Yeah. So then you plugged a USB-C little iPhone
Battery,
one of those
yeah.
like iPhone emergency batteries that you go right into the bottom,
which
and, like,
by the
gives you
way
just a little
lasts
hit of juice
like 40 or 50 hours.
on that microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would charge your phone once.
Yeah.
But it would power that microphone for
like 40
a
or 50
week.
hours,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like full week of shooting.
So now, like I used to have like the full audio setup, like
So your wireless
full
audio
recorder.
setup, your audio setup for most of these shoots, if not like almost all of these shoots,
I mean, like I literally
is
don't
a
bring my
shotgun
recorder
mic,
anymore.
an XLR shotgun mic. Is it a Rode?
I have the DD Mic 2S.
Okay, so DDS Mic 2S, which is an XLR shotgun mic
Yeah.
on an overhead boom pole. You've got an XLR phantom injector
Yeah.
with a USB-C power bank plugged into the top of that, and that goes XLR to 3.5. And then you have a Rode Go
I use the DJI mics now.
The DJI mics.
Yeah.
So a DJI mic 2.
Yeah.
In the back of that phantom injector.
Yeah.
Wireless, so recording locally on the DJI mic.
32-bit.
32-bit flow.
So I don't have to worry about levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gain. And wirelessly transmitting it back directly into the camera.
Yeah. So I have a.
Which you could also wirelessly go right into the iPhone if you wanted to.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have
Insane.
a like full quality backup recording in the camera, and then I have.
So you have redundant audio.
Yeah.
Like dual redundant audio.
Yeah. One is 32-bit.
32-bit flow. And one's in camera.
Yeah.
Insane.
So I no longer carry around XLR cables. I
Yeah.
don't carry around any audio recorders.
Yeah, like none of the big
have them.
Tascam recorders with the satchel and the whole thing that you gotta
Don't
like
use them
have it.
anymore.
Yep. Dude. Wild. It's insane.
So now I used to have like the entire audio bag and everything.
Yeah.
And now when I travel, it's literally my entire audio kit takes up the space of.
I may need you
2
to
lens
just send me the
pockets.
link to that phantom injector because I think I have a thing for that. I think I've got a purpose for that.
I don't know if I can find the same one. Although I did tell this to somebody last week on a shoot, and they tried to go find it, and they found an updated version that has high pass and low pass filters
Oh, I like it. So you could really audio filters built right into the
adapter. Yeah.
I like it. That's dope. Huh. Fascinating. Huh. Well, dude, that's so like such a crazy thing for you to be like just out here doing that. And this is what like I wanted to let the conversation go the way it was, but we were talking about it yesterday, the day before, something like that. And you're like, I don't know. What am I supposed to be prepping for this podcast? Don't prep anything for this podcast. We can fill an hour easily.
Yeah, sure.
Just sitting and talking about this stuff, which I'm so fascinated by. We talk about this a lot. I'm still just dumbfounded every time you're like, oh, yeah. And then, I do this and it's AK. And I don't know, man. And it flies. Who knows? Yeah. It's just crazy. No, but like we've been working together and we do a lot of like we shoot together quite often. I think.
Yeah.
You take this entire rig now. Everything we're talking about here, Mike will take this exact rig that we're talking about with the stills, with the wireless audio, with everything, and just get on a one wheel and ride around.
Oh yeah.
And do shoots like that.
Yeah.
And me too, right along with you. Like we've done that where we're like rolling down the street.
Yeah.
Right through downtown. With this like insane camera rig, just rolling around town on one wheels, getting footage.
Yeah, I mean now the camera's on a gimbal, and the gimbal is on like this jerry-rig monopod system that I set up. Mm-hmm. So usually a monopod you have to like loosen from the bottom.
Yeah.
But I basically
you have it the other way around.
I inverted it and like took multiple monopods apart to like rebuild this one together.
You Frankensteined the monopods back together in a different
So now I have like a 12 to 15 foot jib while riding one wheel.
I'm sorry. That is a 12 to 15 foot, depending on how much reach. And now you're 6'5"?
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
It's super tall guy. I had to lower his chair down just so that way I wouldn't look like short when he's sitting over
I
there.
didn't
I'm
know that.
6'1".
That's funny.
No, I just lowered your chair down so it would fit under the table. No, but like Mike's 6'5", he's got some long arms, and he's doing these like huge sweeping shots. Now you've done this rig for like cyclist races.
Oh yeah, I did it. Yeah.
So
and
this is
I've done that, and I've done
a fundraiser cyclist race, right?
Yeah.
And
where I'm following the bikes
on a one wheel, a motorized one-wheeled skateboard, riding through town, following cyclists that are on a race. Which, by the way, your one wheel is not even fair against a bicycle at all. It's like stupid fast if you want it to be.
Yeah.
But you're just like following these guys around with a camera on a jib.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest things because we get a lot of looks doing that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, what is going on right now? Like, what in the space age technology is happening? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've done like Carval stuff for commercial stuff.
Yeah. We've done like local like dealerships and stuff.
I've had people let me do it for concerts. So like I'll ride around like the back of a concert, like over the crowd, like getting like over the crowd shots, and then like I'll jib up like 12 feet above the crowd.
Yeah.
Like while doing like a slider shot.
Yeah, I've done video work on the one wheel of like, like undersling the Ronin M and like put the camera, whatever.
Yeah.
I've done stuff like that, and then I've like had the 360 cam like off the front of it. I use my one wheel to bring gear in a lot, like when I'm DJing. I use it a lot for that because all my gear's on wheels and everything's not on wheels. This is bags I can carry. So I'm just like pushing my DJ booth like through a venue on
That's
the
great.
wheel. And dude, people go nuts about that. People are like, dude, you're the coolest DJ. Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, no, I mean I am, but unrelated to the one wheel. No, but the one wheel's so much fun to like use as a utility cart.
Yeah.
How many one wheels? This is a totally topic change. Have you owned or do you currently own?
I currently own 2. One of which
Is
I'm
a
probably,
GT.
Yeah.
And a Pint X?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We're big
had
one wheel fans. If you're not familiar, check out onewheel.com.
4 or
It's- yeah.
5. I mean, you have one of them right now.
That's true. I was gonna
You're
say
one of
I
the
have
old
one of
ones.
your old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I currently have 3,
Yeah.
which is wild. I have my OG,
Yeah.
and then I've got one of
Pint.
your old ones.
Yeah, and a pint.
And a pint. Yeah, it's insane. We like one wheels. We ride them around a lot. We use them for fun and social. Like like
Hey, they're
this
tax
is fun.
write-offs. It's work.
But
It's
dude,
work.
they are that. My one wheel does more work than it ever has.
Oh, yeah.
Like fun. I use it so much for
Yeah.
like hauling
Well,
equipment, carrying.
I've been hired basically as like a one-wheel camera op.
For what? What was the shoot that you got hired as a one-wheel camera?
Well, the bike race was one of them.
Okay.
Because
They hired you
the-
because you're a videographer that can one wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the
Insane.
guy who called me having me do it, like he was fully capable of shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, I either have to like follow him around like on a moped or like beat him to street corners or like try and like somebody like drive around a car.
Wild.
And he's like, I'd really just rather hire you to just ride the one wheel around.
That's insane. I love that. Hey, if more of those shoots come up, hit me up. I'm in. I'm so
It was
in.
fun.
Yeah. Next time there's somebody that's like, hey, do you have a second one wheel guy? Yes, you do. I'm there. I'm 1,000%. I'm in on that one. No, I love it though, because I think that means that like it's one thing to have like the flashy newest technology, like you get it because it is new, or you get it because it's the newest funnest thing or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, I got the nicest newest blah blah blah. Your quest for gear is never about status or never about brand or never about, it's all about functionality.
To be honest, I don't like, I'm not stuck to one brand. Like I have,
I mean,
a
not
full-
Nikon, but
I have
everything
a-
else other than
well,
that.
I've thought about it now that they bought Red.
Oh man.
But like I legitimately look at every camera release
Yeah.
seriously, and I'll go into like all of the dynamic range and latitude
Yeah.
tests and how
You
good
want to
the
know from
sensor
a
is,
deeply technical standpoint,
like
how this thing
at
performs.
pretty much every single camera release. Yeah.
Right. And that's such an impressive thing, because I mean, I just know people, like I see 2 things, and I don't know about like what your experiences are, but I see 2 things in the industry. I see people who are so locked into a brand or a specific camera model that they're like they're so convinced that their like Canon
Like, this is the
C200 or
answer.
whatever
Yeah.
is my 5D Mark IV will never be out of date. My 5D Mark IV is the only good camera on the market. Everything else is just fluff and disgusting. And they're like so locked into their
Yeah.
cameras that their cameras have been outdated for a while and they don't even care.
Yeah.
Or they're just always on that search for the next thing. They gotta have that next one. They gotta have the newest release. And then a lot of times it is still brand specific.
Yeah.
Like gotta have the newest Canon, gotta have the newest Sony, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the
Like,
reality is that every time I buy a
on
camera,
the
it's
hunt
for
for
a
it.
specific purpose.
yes.
Like,
You're very intentional about why you buy gear.
Like the camera that I have now, I mostly shoot on an A9 III at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then the XH2S. But both of those cameras I have for very specific purposes.
yeah.
And on the Sony side, with the whole like pulling stills workflow and all that kind of stuff, I started building my workflow for that and my rig for that 2 years before it got announced and launched.
Insane. Just on the rumors that you deep dove the internet to find.
Yeah. So like the backpack we were talking about took
Yeah.
me 3 years to build.
Yeah. And it's very impressive.
Yeah,
It's such
so
an impressive rig
setup.
that
That
is
setup
so
took me
mobile.
about 3 years to build. It probably cost me like 25 grand just to build out that backpack from like swapping things
Wild.
in and out.
And you've swapped multiple bodies in and out. I mean, you've swapped through like a Sony A1. You swapped through several different like high-end bodies.
I've owned an A1 twice. I've owned.
You've owned a Sony A1 2 separate times, and now currently don't own one.
Yeah.
You're insane.
I've owned the XH2S 3 times.
Oh my god, the XH. Oh my god. Just because you buy it, you use it for a project, flip it, and
Pretty
then go
much.
buy it again.
Yeah. So I mean,
The next time you need it for a
kind
project.
of.
Yeah.
So like the XH2S I got in between like kind of waiting for some of the Sony stuff.
Sure.
Because like I loved the A1, but it how they do their firmware updates is dumb, and they didn't like let you put log LUTs in the log on the A1.
Bake it into the footage.
They released the A1 too, and that's one of the biggest selling points. But I'm not gonna buy like basically the same camera. It's
same
It's the
camera.
same sensor. I'm not gonna
Right.
buy the same camera just for like
From
one.
a technical standpoint, it's the same camera.
It's the same camera.
Okay, got it.
Like body's new, screen is new, but like it's the same sensor.
Like capture-wise, footage-wise, it's the same.
It's the same.
Okay, got it.
Like rolling shutter's the same, dynamic range is the same, autofocus is a little
Wild.
updated, but it's basically the same.
Okay, got it.
So when I bought the A1 the second time, I knew that firmware update was coming,
Okay.
and so I bought it cheaper. I buy a ton of my stuff used, by the way, and
Yeah.
I buy a ton of stuff on eBay. Which,
Yeah, it's not like you're buying brand new
Oh
stuff.
no, I almost never buy anything new unless it's like a brand new
Yeah.
release. But even then, like I'll wait to buy stuff used oftentimes.
Works for me.
So like when I buy and sell stuff, like the XH2S.
Again, I own your old iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the XH2S, the second times that I bought it and sold it, I basically bought it and sold it for like the same price.
Wow.
I think I lost like $100 each time.
Yeah.
And I owned it for like 3 to 6 months and then sold it for like a $100 loss.
Worthy investment.
Yeah, totally fine.
Because it made you a ton of money while you had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worth it.
And so the A1, I literally bought it the second time because I knew the firmware update was coming. And the only thing I needed the firmware update to do was have.
The LUTs to be able to bake in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when it didn't, I sold it because that was my entire purpose of owning the camera.
They released the A1 too versus.
Yeah, which I mean, the A1 that I bought was like about like 4,500, and it's new for 6,500.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and again, that one like I sold for basically what I bought it for. I think I
Right.
lost like $200.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I
such
basically
an
bought it
impressive
in,
turnaround.
like waiting.
You know
for that.
exactly what you're doing with your gear, and it's very impressive.
I mean, I know like the used price for most cameras in the market right now off the top of my
Off the
head.
top of your head, yeah, because you're always keeping your finger on the pulse of the
Yeah.
used camera industry. But that and like you know the cameras that are coming. You know cameras from 18 months out that
Yeah.
are rumored to be released.
Yeah.
And you're keeping an eye on it. There's times where I reach out to you and I'm like, hey, I want to buy a camera. Someone I know wants to buy a camera. What camera should they buy? And you're like, oh, so here's the current camera right now, but if they're willing to wait 6 months, here's the next camera that's going to come out. That's going to be the good one to buy.
Yeah, so the next one's the A7 IV.
Yeah. Okay.
Is supposed to be announced at the end of the month / next month.
Okay.
It's already been pushed back twice.
So we're talking
fingers crossed.
end of February, March sometime.
Yes.
The A7 V will be announced.
Yes.
And then probably around their April, May usual release time.
Yeah, it depends. They kind of like their schedule
Sometimes
for releases
around
actually like it's kind of weird or different.
Wild.
And then the FX3, FX6, and FX9 are all like 4 or 5 years old. So those
Yeah.
should be replaced this year, but there
You're
isn't.
thinking there's one body that's going to replace like the FX series? 369?
Well, so you have the A7 S3 and the FX3. Those
Yeah.
might be combined into one series, and
Okay.
those will get replaced.
You said the A7
S3.
S3.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the FX6, FX9 might get kind of jumbled together.
Okay.
But like we're not
Again,
quite sure yet.
highly technical episode of this podcast.
I'm trying really hard.
No, I know,
to
but
not get
I'm
super
keeping up
nerdy.
with you. We're talking about cameras. If you hadn't got aboard, we're talking about Sony cameras right
I
now.
mean, at the moment, yeah.
At the moment, we're talking about the newest Sony cameras that Mike has his eye on.
I mean, if you
as
want to
it's
get
coming
really
up.
nerdy, we can talk about what makes the sensor of the XH2S special, or how the new Blackmagic 12K LF is a completely different type of sensor that doesn't exist before.
Let's call that the next time you're on the podcast. We're going to talk about that one. Next time you're on the podcast, because we have a lot of things. Now, Mike is going to be on the podcast more times because we have a lot of things we talk about. We could go in a more technical direction on another episode. I'd love to just dive into our thoughts on AI and that feature in the
yeah, that's
technology
fun.
space. There's a lot of really crazy stuff that's going on.
Have
right
I
there.
sent you some of the AI stuff that's
Oh,
come out in the last
absolutely.
3 weeks?
Yes, we've been talking about it
that's
quite
what
a
I
bit.
thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
So anyway, yeah, we can absolutely dive into that on more episodes of the podcast. We're going to be about to come to the conclusion of this episode of the podcast here on YouTube. If you'd like to check out the next bit of this
I
discussion,
feel like that was like the warm up.
I know, right? If you'd like to check out what's not the warm-up, what comes after this, you can check out the rest of this conversation. Will be posted over on patreon.com/ZMessina. You can also get to all of my links on zmessina.com, a website Mike built for me years ago, and I have since rebuilt.
I would hope so.
It's still your Squarespace account.
Yeah.
It's still like my domain and everything is still
Yeah.
like your, like,
I know.
Yeah,
I
you're
can go back
hosting
and
my
see it,
website.
yeah.
Anyway, you can check out all my content at zmessina.com, or you can check out all my stuff on my social medias at zmessina. If you'd like to check out Mike's very limited professional and then also some content from his
don't worry about it.
family and his puppy, you can check that out on Instagram.
Sure.
Is it just at Mike Marrah?
Yeah.
At Mike Marrah. You can check that out on Instagram. And also MikeMarrah.com.
Yeah.
Which, if you'd like to see some of his older work, including, I mean, there's plenty of old content on there from like photo and video work from like forever ago. But Mike does not.
I mean, most of
enough
that content's like 3
This
years
is
old.
what full-time people in the industry like just not
Don't do
posting.
YouTube.
Yeah, just not doing enough. Like, I keep trying to get Mike to get on and talk about all of this camera stuff online, but this is the closest I get him to come on my podcast every once in a while. So
I mean, there's a reason like that most industry professionals don't do YouTube is that one, it's a ton of time and you don't actually make a lot of money until you get really big. And also like we're busy.
Yeah, we're busy. We got
So-
stuff going on. That's it.
I mean, there's a couple of channels that like they've been like industry professionals for a long time and like they're really good.
Right.
But they're not really like the famous ones. Like a
No,
couple
right,
of them,
right,
like
right.
if you're in the industry, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, every once in a while, we're going to do some educational content. I'm also going to get Mike to come on Patreon and do some educational content on his backpack and his whole setup and everything on there as well. So if you'd like to stay tuned, you can check all that out there. But that'll be the conclusion of this YouTube version of a podcast. So, Mike, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for
that.
having me.
Dude, this is not like we're 100% doing this more frequently. I know. We started podcasts together in the past. They didn't always work out. Now this one's actually going, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. But thanks for coming on here. Guys, again, check out Mike on social media. You're welcome to check out the rest of this conversation we're going to have right after this. But that is the end of this episode of the Messy Media Podcast. We will catch up with you guys next time.